Welcome back to the Big Moon the Bronx YouTube channel, everybody. Hope you guys are doing well. Hit the like button, comment, subscribe. Turn on post notifications so you know when a live stream pops video drops. We got the whole crew here wrapping up the practices for this week. Day 1, day 2, day 3. With that being said, I'll toss it over to Luca, then Brian for first thoughts on day number 3. Brian?
I am just to build off what Lucas said. I have very similar first thoughts here. This was your last chance. If you had a bad first 2 days, you can wipe them away with a strong third day of practice. Where it's the last day you got all the media here, national media, national reporters, and teams watching you work. This is the last day to put your best foot forward and earn yourself an interview and increase your stock. Now, there are some guys I will tell you in advance who definitely did do that, who did it the last day. They had a couple days where they didn't make much noise, but the third day they did enough. You had some guys who did well the first 2 days, then had a bad day today. Won't affect their stock too much, but still, there's plenty to go over. But I'm excited to talk about this because this was a big day, a lot of pressure for all these guys.
Absolutely. And I want to start with the national team. I was watching mostly the trenches, and I feel like there's some guys that they start out during the week, but there's also some guys that they dropped it a little today. One of them I'm gonna name is Gray Zabel. I thought he had some really tough reps today against two guys. One guy that had like a really good rep against him. One guy that was just dominating all day, and that was Yaya Black out of Iowa. Some of the other guys that I have on my winning side, again, mostly was defensive line for me. I don't think the O line did too good. Two guys I'll name, which we've gotten interviews from. Marcus Bowe from Purdue. He had some nice reps against John Joyner and Ula Dejo out of UCLA. And the other guy being Josh Connerly, he had a really nice rep against Darius Alexander and Colin Oliver, who I really was not high on today. He had a couple of bad reps, and just the O line seemed to be dominating him as far as the O line goes. And as far as the D line, to quickly wrap that up and then throw my thoughts in the other direction, Naas Peebles, he's a guy that did really well today. He tore Jalen Rivers inside, another guy who really didn't have a great day. Darius Alexander, he continues to impress. I mentioned Yaya Black. Ty Robinson actually had a nice day. I mean, he was pretty quiet the first 2 days. Landon Jackson's another guy that he's been up and down, but mostly on the ups. Robinson had a nice rep versus Jalen Rivers and Caleb Rogers, the Texas Tech dude. And then Jamari Caldwell, who Brian told me was banged up towards the end of practice, he had a really nice rep versus Gray Zabel. So the trenches, again, that's where I was focusing mostly, but I thought the D line did better than the O line. I mean, what do you guys think?
Yeah, for today, for these assignments, especially with the national team, I did more general coverage on the skill positions on offense. So QBs, receivers, running backs, tight ends. I kind of kept it as broad as I could, cast out a wide net. I'm going to give you one winner and loser from each group. For the national side, for quarterbacks, Show, I think, had a very strong day. Again, this week he's been a little shaky. He's had some rough moments, but today he showed more control. He fit some passes into some tight windows, into double, triple coverage that were very strong, especially in a tight 20-yard red zone situation. I really liked what I saw there from him. Elgersma, the Canadian quarterback, a lot of power, not a lot of accuracy. That's when I'm starting to notice it. He's got an effortless arm. It just like it does it gives and it gives and it gives, but he doesn't have enough touch. And that's the thing. He's got to control his speed and his velo and his touch in certain scenarios. He ends up overthrowing into corners. Sometimes he underthrows it behind the guy to the sideline. You can't have that happen. He needs to find more consistency there. In the running backs area, there really wasn't a bad running back today. Some guys are just quiet, like Ollie Gordon and Donovan Edwards. But one guy really stood out, Woody Marks. He had a very strong day, had some nice breaks, despite the offensive line struggles. He had some runs where he showed off his lateral agility, shifting between gaps and getting into the second level, even beyond that. In the receiver group, good guy I thought stand out. Probably my favorite receiver of the day. I know it's stereotypical to go Tez Johnson, so I'm just going to tell you he had a great day, but I'm not picking him as my favorite of the day. Jalen Lane, Virginia Tech. Phenomenal day. I can't say that more than 3 times because too much repetition, but I'm telling you the truth. The guy was fighting through contact. DB's getting their hands on him, trying to force him off this route. He stayed strong, even got pushed to the ground at some point, was still making catches on the ground. A guy with that much focus and ball tracking ability, absolutely worth it. And then on the tight end side, honestly, probably my favorite of the day goes to Fannin. Harold Fannin Jr., Bowling Green. Everything they've said about this guy is absolutely true. Phenomenal receiving ability, and there was even a rep I saw for blocking. He actually got a pull on, I don't think it was Jackson, but there was another lineman who was coming off the edge, and he took him on in motion and had a nice rip down move that threw him to the ground. He took down a defender that was larger than him. And again, he's not really that wide or too big. He doesn't have that really big blocker frame, and he threw down a guy who was bigger and wider than him, which just shows real good weight displacement against those defenders, which you want in a good blocker. Bad day on that end. I think I'm going to have to go with someone who's a little more quiet today. Mataval from UCLA. Again, I'm not saying he had a bad day necessarily. He just was probably the weakest of the group. Good blocker. He's shown that throughout the week. But in receiving ability, I mean, he leaves a lot to be desired. And when he's blocking, it's very easy to see if you watch what happens carefully on tape. Any contact you make on his inside shoulder, any kind of move you rip through that way, you're going to break through inside. You got to hope your tackle picks it up, or else he's getting an open look at your quarterback. Among tight ends, Arroyo, and I've spoken with guys here from other publications, including, I'm not going to out who the person is, but I will give you the org. Heard it from somebody at SB Nation who really loves tight end work. Arroyo has been the biggest surprise in this whole process. He came in with some low grades, some things people really didn't like, wanted to see him work on, showed up, exceeded expectations, miles above what they thought, especially in receiving ability, that it's got people second guessing their initial low grades. He's going to rise a good amount. I mean, this is what it takes, guys. If you have one good day at these practices and the scouts make notice and the executives make notice and the coaches make notice, that's enough to get you to rise a couple rounds. I'm not even joking. Guys can come into this with 6-round grades with strong stays. They can go up to the 4th round. That's how amazing this event is. It doesn't take much to change the opinion of a scout and of an executive if you're showing you've worked on the weaknesses that's been identified on tape.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. And just some one-offs that I thought stood out. Like, oh, they had a good player too. Justin Barron out of Syracuse, Junior Tafuna had a nice play, a couple of nice reps in the one-on-one session. And I kind of have to agree with Brian. Like, I don't think the running backs did bad today. Woody Marks was like the top one, followed by Damian Martinez and Tootin out of Virginia Tech. I'm not going to pronounce his first name because I'll probably butcher it. And then just one more loser. I would say, I mean, he was a nice guy to interview. Jonah Monheim, I don't think did great over the course of this week. I don't think it helped his stock.
And that's been the story of the week. I
Yeah.
mean, if you want the truth, Monheim has been really struggling at the center spot. There was another guy. Do you want to bring up one of your old linemen? I'm sure you'll be interested in this one because I've been reading about him. What did you think of Jackson Slater?
I didn't get to watch him much. I was mostly watching the wide receivers and corners for the American squad.
Because I've been hearing stories now that apparently he's done well enough that there's been consideration that Slater could get time at center now. He'll be taking snaps possibly in the future.
Was he saying that when we interviewed him? Or am I wrong? Or was it Clay Webb?
It might have been Clay Webb.
Might have been Webb
because I did see reps with Webb at center and yesterday. So I didn't see much with Slater, but there's a lot of talk about possibly a versatile move where he goes from the guard spot, filling a center if they get his snaps, if they can work on snaps with him. Because one of the issues we've had this whole week is these guys there have been guards taking the center spot because they're a little short on centers in this event this year. So you got guys that are naturally guards who don't really snap the football having to take that spot. They're talking Slater could possibly be one of those people who could play both. So more versatility and options for teams looking to invest in a offensive lineman they could put anywhere in the interior.
I mean, Slater's what, more so American?
Slater's on the American squad.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And that's why. Which
I actually got a good look at him today. I thought he played really well.
Yeah.
That'll make for a good segue for the American here.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this before we go into my winners on the American side, which again I was focused on the skill position dudes. I really, other than Jacob Bayer, I really don't think that the small school guys did bad this week. Like the main guys, Jackson Slater, Zabel for the American, Clay Webb. I mean, Webb had some struggles here and there, but I think they improved their draft stock, if anything. Like Zabel's a second round pick now. I'm gonna say that. That's right
fair.
Here.
That's fair. A lot of people are starting to mock him in the second round.
And I also want to just give a shout out to Clay Webb because I did run into his family today. His family's full of very, very nice people. You know, very good guy. You know, great great mind, great personality. He's gonna be very, very well loved. I think he could be a potential really good leader for any roster. They'd be lucky to have him.
Yeah, absolutely. So into the skill positions, like 2-3 guys that I have on my list here are maybe even 4, like didn't do great or were quiet in the first part of the week, but it seems like today that they rose up like we were talking about at the beginning of the show. First of all, this guy has been dominating pretty much the entire week on the American side. He's Jack Batch. Jack Batch, a TCU wide receiver.
Yep.
It's not even, he gets like this great separation run. It's just amazing catches he comes down with. He just seems like a reliable possession receiver and all that. I mean, you guys got any thoughts on that before I go into the other guys?
I got one thought. When we get to my coverage on DBs, there's one play you're going to watch that's been making the circles everywhere. You could shout out freaking Bobby Skinner on that one and talking Giants. There's one play in the red zone you've probably seen online already. Jack Beck versus Dan Jackson in the red zone. Beck makes a great grab. Jackson lights him up. Get ready for that one. I'll give you a little more detail on that in a bit. But Beck overall definitely has been very solid. He's been one of my favorites I've seen here this week. I didn't expect anything. I didn't expect too much from him. I came in here with an open mind for most of these guys. Didn't get high on anyone purposely, and he really has impressed me a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
To go into my other winners, to guys that hasn't really flashed this week, Isaac Tesla, Arkansas guy. I thought he did really well. Mac McWilliams, the DB out of UCF. I thought he had a good day. He was very physical. A couple of pass deflections.
Oh, we're still in my dude then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Okay.
yeah. Okay.
I see how it is.
Well, we got Shamir DK Dyke. out of
Shamari
Florida.
DK. Yep.
Very
Yeah,
DK.
he had a good day, and
I
then
think he had a quiet first 2 days though, for being honest.
no,
But
he did.
Yeah.
his hands have been there. His hands have been there.
For the most part, he was quiet, but today he was good. And then Mr. Georgia, Arian Smith, I thought I
Yes.
thought he had a good day.
And I was really nervous about Arian Smith going into this. I mean, when I did my report on him, there was one glaring thing that I was very nervous about, and I was hoping he improved on, which was his drops. He's known to have some soft hands, so essentially the ball kind of falls through. That can't really get a good grip on it. We saw that issue the first couple of days, make some mistakes. He needed a very strong day today to prove that. Again, there's obviously some publications who said he's been doing better, but trust me, the first 2 days he was very inconsistent. Today, I think I didn't even see a drop. I didn't see a drop today from him. And he made some great catches. I mean, there's one play, I think, like 30 yards downfield. They were doing the 30 yards to the end zone, and he ran a great route. I don't remember who was in pursuit. I think it might have been Stout that was in pursuit of him or Edwards, but he got past him with the speed, which is his number one trait. I think he'll end up being a returner because of that when he starts. But he blazed by him, corner of the end zone, perfectly placed, scooped it in, kept both feet in. That is the potential you get with Smith when he gets good grip on the ball. And that's what we want to see. He gets the good grip, he's just as good as Tez Johnson. But he needs to get the grips under control.
Before we go to the losers of the American side, Luca, what did you see from the trenches?
From Minnesota, and from what we saw in his reps that he did when he made the impact about midway through practice, he showed a lot of good stuff. He beat some guys on the outside that were very good. That speed to power conversions really strong. But I'm going to jump into my winners and losers real quick. So I was looking more again in the back seven. So I mean, I was looking at the backers group. So mainly defensive backs, the safeties, the corners, and then also linebackers. I grouped into that. I know you took a look at some as well.
Yeah.
But I made sure to do some looking as well, so this way we can kind of combine our efforts here. One corner who really had a good day. I'm going to name a couple, but my main guy, Brandon Adams, UCF. Mm-hmm. He had a very, very good day. I came into this whole process thinking he was going to be a mid-round guy, but today, I mean, I saw some great things. He was shadowing well. He was keeping receivers in front of him so he could make great plays on the ball. And then he also flashed something I didn't see from him on tape very often, the run support. And corners who can contribute in run support are so valuable in the league because that shows your speed, your ability to read, and your ability to shed through the blocks, slip through them to get into the gaps and take a guy down. And that's what I wanted to see because the tackling ability for corners is usually a little weaker, but his was showing strong today. And I really liked Adams' performance. Parrish, I want to give a shout out to. He had some very good play safe from Kansas State. He kept his balance and followed breaks well, kept close. I just want to see him get a little bit more consistency in keeping his hands up for the ball, make more plays against the ball. And then, one bad guy I'm going to say probably equivalent loser today. I'm sorry to say it. It was Edwards from Tulane. Yep. I mean, let's start with the main thing, hands. You looking for a ball hawk guy, I don't think he's your guy. They ran drills where I was watching them where they just float up in the end zone. You just run out, try to make a play on the ball, and keep your feet in bounds. He was struggling a little bit to keep his hands on the ball and secure it effectively. So that's a bit of an issue there. He can get you the deflections, but he's not going to pull in the picks. So turnovers, generating them, going to be a little rough. He also needs to look back to quarterback. I mean, he's not really fluid in his hips to change direction, so he takes a little time. He's a little slower in that aspect, so it's easier for faster guys to get past him and make a play deep. So for corners, that's what I saw in the safety group. Because again, there wasn't that many safeties today, but I want to note a few guys. You talked about Jackson. I really don't think there was a bad guy today in the safety group. I really don't think there was that bad of anybody. Three main guys I talk about are Bowman, Wooler, and Jackson. Those are the three I watch very intently. Jackson had a solid day. I think it was 50-50. I think I'm going to say neutral for him. That one hit on Beck, holy crap. I mean, that he lit him up. But that's the thing about Jackson. I think you did the report on him. Jackson is a power hitter. He lays you out. You get that ball, he's putting you to sleep. It's what he does, and it's what makes him so effective. Beck couldn't hold on to the ball. He lost it because of that hit. So that's something I really like about him, but he needs to take better angles.
I agree.
I noticed that too. Bowman had another 50-50 day as well. He showed some really good stuff, but there was also points where he was getting beat to the side, towards the sideline, which, that's going to happen. You can't be perfect in man coverage all the time. But when you're playing off the guy, it's going to happen. You got to just work on the closing speed a little bit, and you're good to go. But Wooler is probably my favorite of the day. And the reason why is because he's quick. And what I mean by quick is his pedal, dropping back. His ability to drop back and move forward, effortless. There's no lag. There's no drag. He's just easily going back and forth, side to side with no effort at all. And I love that about him. The only thing I want to see from him is get his hands up. Just get your hands up and we're chilling. And then finally, linebacker group before I toss it back to you, Alex. Knight has been my winner all week. I've loved the way Demetrius Knight has played. If the ball gets in anybody's hand, they're not making it past Knight. Knight's a great tackler, takes great angles, wraps well. Love the way his tackling technique works. Everything about him I'm very, very loving for. And he also makes quick transitions. So one drill they do sometimes is they make you engage with one of the pads and then slip the pad after getting your strong contact and aim for the next guy that's downfield. He did a great job on that. It was great impact on contact, slips through, gets to the carrier quick. And that's what I want to see more from guys. One guy who I didn't see do that was, fortunately, Shamar James. James, I think, didn't do bad either today. He was 50-50 guy. But if I had to say guys that were very quiet, doesn't mean they were bad. I'm just going to say they're quiet. I really don't think there was a bad linebacker today in this group. Asante and McLeod from Auburn. Both guys were very solid, but they were quiet, and I didn't really see anything too flashy from them. Tim Smith, I didn't know he had the power like that. That was ridiculous. He got up so quick, explosive off that first step he took. I don't think the O-lineman had time to set. Because when you get the guys like that, that's where you're the best. You are best as a linebacker in advantage when you can explode off the line upon the snap and keep the guy off his base early. Then when you make the contact with him, he doesn't have time to recover and set his feet and lock you out. So this was very nice to see from Smith. That's a promising trait. I really like that today from him.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do agree with you on Edwards and Smith Jr. Dan Jackson, I thought he struggled. Obviously, you all saw the later reps. Really, he struggled going against. He got better, but he struggled going against those tight ends. Like Mason Taylor had a couple of nice catches on him. C.J. Dipper from Alabama. That's where he struggled, but again, he got better.
Yeah.
One of the other guys in terms of receivers that I just thought he wasn't winning any battles was Jalen Royals. You did the report on him. You know the college he went to, but he just wasn't winning. Yeah, he wasn't really winning much of anything. But we'll I would say reflect on the experience on Saturday. But just any final thoughts through the first 3 days in terms of this the Senior Bowl in terms of the practices, not necessarily the experience. Because again, we'll do that on Saturday.
I think that a lot of that has to do with the intensity that has been played with. I think in the difference of the coaching staffs. Then that has to do with it because Vitrone's running the American and Kafka is running the national. And the way Kafka's been running his practices, he's letting the guys have fun. That's one thing. But two, he's also making sure they're focused on task. And again, what does that show to me? Great head coaching potential. I know that's funny that I bring that up, with the whole Saints story, but I'm saying this
No,
very
it's true.
seriously. Kafka looks like he's about a year or two away ready for my head coaching stuff, and even the way he's handled himself here and handled this team, I got a lot of respect for the way he's done his work here. There's been a lot to love about this national team. He's really got these guys into shape, and there's a lot to love about it. For the American side, I wish there was more. It felt a little too serious.
Mm-hmm.
But it's funny. We complained about it being a little too serious the first couple of days, and then today, I mean, they looked like there was a little bit of a effort change. I don't know what it was. It looked like there was some practices, some drills where there wasn't much intensity, like you were saying. It felt almost like a walkthrough. They ran 11 on 11s on like the second or third session, and I didn't understand why they were doing that. They were walking through with the full staff rather than O line's not really pushing on D line. Quarterback's looking to throw. The corners are covering, but they're not playing super hands on. Not a lot of speed, intense contact, and receivers just making grabs. And I didn't understand why that was the case. But
Yeah, I was also going to comment. I think after the first 11 on 11s for the national side, what I like about Lemuel Jean Pierre, if I'm pronouncing his name correctly, assistant offensive line coach for the Miami Dolphins. He didn't see something he liked with the offensive line the first round of 11 on 11s, pulled them to the side. Wide receivers and corners were doing their 7-on-7s. He's like, you know what, guys? We're working on our individual drill of our own. You know what? We're going to get better at this. We're going to improve. I didn't see what I liked. So you know what? You're going to keep doing these reps until they're good enough.
and that is a good sign of a good position coach. That's what you want to see. That was the right call by him.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll be back on Saturday for the Senior Bowl game recap, and also just a little thoughts on our experience down here. We'll have interviews, of course, released periodically. Our team between all three of us. I mean, some obviously are going to go on Brian's channel because I'm not going to take credit away from him. We got around 40, 42 interviews this year.
He's still going to take credit. Don't you worry.
Don't listen to him. But we got over 40 interviews this year between the three of us. So we appreciate you guys, and we'll see you back on Saturday. Peace out.